It was an evening to celebrate small, medium and micro enterprises, as well as cooperatives that have shown themselves to be key contributors to the economy and job creation. It's the third year since the presidential MSME and Cooperative Awards have been running. President Ramaphosa made reference to the incidence of food-borne illnesses, which have resulted in the deaths of numerous children around the country, adding that this had shone a spotlight on the critical role that small businesses are supposed to play in local communities. The president reiterated the call for spaza shop owners to come forward and formally register their businesses, adding that it's critical for the local government to be better able to regulate the sector.
At the same time, the issue has also highlighted the critical role that small businesses play in our communities as they provide much needed services and also support local economies. And so that is why it is important that through the decision taken by government, which we announced last week, we should be able to ensure that we bring small businesses into the mainstream of the economy. We have decided that we want spaza shops that are operating in our townships and our rural areas must be registered. And to register does not mean that we seek to punish them. We seek to make sure that they are regulated so that we know who they are, so that we know where they operate, so that we know that they are going to run their businesses properly within health regulations, within labor laws as well, within everything that has to do with the laws of our country.
The Small Business Development Minister noted that at a summit held by stakeholders operating in the small, medium and micro enterprise sector 2 years ago, a target was set for collective efforts to work towards the creation of 1 million small, medium and micro enterprises over 5 years.
To achieve these 1 million new MSMEs, the stakeholders agreed to prioritize the following 5 game changers. So we're not just talking about things that we want to see happening, we're also putting a plan and a clear action, including the partners that must help us achieve that. The first thing, in terms of the game changers, a startup policy or legislative framework which could include a new startup act. There's the need for South Africa to make sure that we develop an act that addresses the needs of the startup and therefore be able to create a conducive environment for them. The Township and Rural Economic Development and Revitalization Policy. Here we are very clear that we can't be talking about the township and rural economic revitalization whilst we know that in our townships, in our villages, this economy was never built at all. That's why we're talking about the development of it. The refueled incubator program, the implementation of the MSME cooperative funding policy, including establishing the transformation fund that we will soon announce as soon as Cabinet approves, working with the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, including the National Treasury. A scaled enterprise supplier development partnership program is critical to give realization to what I've spoken about.
Meanwhile, President Ramaphosa called on the local banking sector to do more to assist entrepreneurs to get their foot on the rung of a financial ladder that can enable them to run businesses that can meaningfully add to the economy and create jobs.
Now, as our economy is growing, now as interest rates are coming down and are bound to come down even further, this is the time to make finance available within, obviously, the various considerations that you have to take into account. This is the time to make finance available and pump energy and life into our economy, because it is when small and medium enterprises are given the enabling energy by our financial institutions where the money is, that they will be able to run businesses, to be creative, to create jobs, and our economy can grow.
One major sponsor of the event added that it stood ready and willing to assist the sector, understanding the critical role that it plays for society at large.
It's not about providing funding. It's not about, the slogans and the billboards. It's about ensuring that we can reflect and look back and say, what is the role that we can play as large corporates that have strong financial resources in our country to make sure that the small business can be able to succeed and make meaningful impacts, to people that they employ and the rest of the population.
As South Africa takes up the rotational presidency of the G20 from the 1st of December, President Ramaphosa said plans were afoot to create a G20 working group solely dedicated to small and medium enterprises, with some emphasis on the use of artificial intelligence. This to make sure that countries work together to ensure that business people in their respective countries keep their operations relevant in these changing times. Nampumelelo Ziba, SABC News, Johannesburg.